President Trump slams Governor Hochul for endorsing Mamdani. What to know about Luigi Mangione's case now that terrorism charges have been thrown out. And a community looks ahead to revitalization in Jamaica, Queens. From WNYC, this is NYC Now. I'm Janae Pierre. President Trump is criticizing New York Governor Kathy Hochul for backing Zohran Mamdani for mayor. Hochul is the highest-ranking state official to endorse Mamdani. The governor says her moderate politics don't always align with the Democratic Socialist's platform, but she wants them to work together.
I want to continue focusing on affordability, public safety, and making sure he will know that this is a great state, it's a great city, and to work with whoever the next mayor will be.
Political observers say Hochul's endorsement could help her win progressive support as she seeks re-election next year. But Republicans are attacking. They say it shows Hochul is a radical, not a moderate. Meanwhile, President Trump has threatened to withhold funds from the state. In our previous episode, we mentioned that a New York State judge threw out 2 terrorism counts against Luigi Mangione. That's the guy accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson back in December. Mangione still faces another murder count and weapons possession charges in state court, and a slew of federal charges. My colleague Ben Feuerherd has been following the case. And Ben, you were in court when all of this went down Tuesday morning. What happened?
Yeah, so it was the first time Mangione has been in state court in months since back in February. And since his last appearance, his attorneys have filed a variety of motions. One sought to dismiss the terrorism counts in the indictment. One was asking the judge to dismiss the entire indictment, and another to suppress evidence that police recovered when they arrested him and the statements that he made at that time. So at this brief hearing, it lasted less than 20 minutes. The judge sided with Mangione's defense attorneys on one of the requests and dismissed the 2 terrorism counts against him, which charged him with murder in furtherance of terrorism and murder as an act of terrorism.
And what reasoning did the judge give for throwing out the charges?
So Mangione's attorneys argued in their motion that the prosecutors sort of overplayed how New York's terrorism law is supposed to be applied. They accused prosecutors of what they said was trying to fit the square peg of murder in the round hole of terrorism. And the judge seemed to agree with some of that assessment and noted that New York's terrorism law is modeled after the federal terrorism law. And as you said, Mangione is also charged with federal crimes for allegedly killing Thompson. And the judge highlighted that federal prosecutors did not charge him with a terrorism crime. And the district attorney's office said in a statement that they're going to continue with the rest of the case. So that includes another murder count that carries a maximum of life in prison. So his sentencing exposure is not really too different after these 2 counts have been dismissed. He also faces the death penalty if he's convicted in federal court.
So what was the scene like at the courthouse?
Yeah, so typically supporters of Mangione show up to the courthouse and some attend these hearings. There were about 24 supporters allowed in the courtroom and more were gathered outside. They're mostly sort of young women. And I spoke to 4 of them who told me about all sorts of reasons on why they feel compelled to show up and support a person accused of murder. One of them is Abril Rios. She said she's an influencer and encouraged people not to be violent if they are discouraged with things happening in society.
We aren't saying go take up guns and do the alleged action that he's accused of doing. We're saying be a voice of your community, go out, get active. So many people are hyper individualistic in our society, and I think it's structured to keep us that way. But if you come together, you see that the things that we want are not so different.
But yeah, there certainly were also some people who may be more on the fringe. One woman who was wearing a pink shirt with the words "I Heart Italian Boys" on it told me that she was actually in an AI relationship with Luigi.
That's WNYC's Ben Feuerherd. Up next, residents of Jamaica, Queens are hoping a new rezoning plan will help revitalize their community. More on that after the break. The Adams administration is trying to spur new housing construction across the city. One area that's been targeted for a major rezoning is Jamaica, Queens. WNYC's Arun Venugopal says for some supporters, the rezoning is a chance to undo decades of neglect.
William Scarborough is the president of the Southeast Queens Residents Environmental Justice Coalition. He grew up in Jamaica at a time when the area was known as Black New York's Gold Coast. Some of the country's foremost celebrities lived there: Ella Fitzgerald, Jackie Robinson, and James Brown. One local legend even opened up his swimming pool to the neighborhood kids.
So I was able to go swim in Count Basie's pool.
That was in the 1960s. After that, white flight took hold. Scarborough said the area changed. Crime went up. Polluters moved in. Scarborough is a former state legislator. He says decades of declining services and quality of life is why he supports an ambitious plan to rezone Jamaica. He sees it as a way for the community to undo years of neglect.
I'm hopeful. I'm also happy to see that there is attention being paid to Jamaica.
City officials say the plan would be the largest in the city in at least 2 decades. Jamaica is one of 5 neighborhoods that have been targeted for an overhaul. Mayor Eric Adams says together, these neighborhood transformations will result in 50,000 new homes. He now regularly invokes this phrase at public events.
The most pro-housing administration in the history of the city, not based on my opinion, but based on the numbers.
On paper, the Jamaica rezoning would transform 230 blocks of the area, creating 12,000 new homes, including 4,000 affordable units. At a hearing last week in the city council, the city planning department's Lin Zheng said the rezoning would also create millions of square feet of additional commercial space, resulting in 7,000 new jobs.
The proposal we're presenting today updates zoning that would help Jamaica grow and thrive.
Supporters of the plan and opponents showed up at the public hearing. Reverend Patrick O'Connor of the First Presbyterian Church in Jamaica says the rezoning should be pushed through as a matter of urgency.
We're in a housing emergency.
But the rezoning has already been rejected by 2 community boards. Their votes are advisory, but they tend to carry weight with elected officials, who will ultimately cast the deciding votes. Lisa Edwards is among the locals who say it would raise rents for existing residents.
I raised my children here, and they are being priced out of the neighborhood they were born in. I'm against this plan.
Councilmember Natasha Williams represents part of the area. She's helped lead the process of envisioning the neighborhood's transformation, but she said even her vote isn't guaranteed.
My final support is tied directly to the city's willingness to translate our community's needs into real, tangible investments.
During my visit to the area, Scarborough drove me around Jamaica in his SUV. He pointed out row houses along one side of Liberty Avenue. On the other side of the street were various polluters, scrap yards, concrete factories, poultry facilities, and waste transfer stations.
Used to be, if you rode by here on a summer day, you could not put your window down because of the stench. The odor was horrible.
The problem of air pollution in Jamaica has been confirmed by scientists. Researchers with York College, Medgar Evers College, and Rutgers University found levels of fine particulate matter in the neighborhood last year far exceeded EPA standards, in some cases by as much as 230%.
When you have city agencies that do not enforce the performance standards, then the people are at the mercy of these industries.
Scarborough says the rezoning is one way for Jamaica to ensure that heavy polluters are either better monitored or kicked out. Not just for the existing residents, but for people lured to a transformed community. The city council is scheduled to vote on the Jamaica neighborhood plan next month.
That's WNYC's Arun Venugopal. Thanks for listening to NYC Now from WNYC. I'm Janae Pierre. We'll be back tomorrow.